Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Greg Berhalter has announced his 27-man roster for the US men's national team ahead of their final set of CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers coming up against Mexico, Panama and Costa Rica. So much to discuss, and we'll go through the roster shortly in detail. But Ian, your initial thoughts here on Greg's selections?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Greg's actually got it spot on here. Obviously, there's a bit of a concern about Serginho Dest after what happened in the Europa League, getting taken off against Galatasaray and Barcelona's victory. But I think you'd have to say he's hit it pretty spot on. The question marks would be what's happening fitness-wise for the goalkeepers. Who will be the player who gets the nod as the striker position? And, of course, who plays in that centre-back role as well. So I'm excited to see what Greg does for a starting 11, but you've got to look at the big picture here. I think he got the squad absolutely spot on. And it's exciting, Poppy. What Greg has decided to do is he's just going with what he thinks is best. Players who are in form, no Josh Sargent. Players who are out form, out the squad. And I'm okay with that. If you're playing well, Greg has already shown us in the past that he will give you an opportunity not only to be in the squad, but to be in the starting 11. And he's got 3 mega games coming up.
Mega games. It's a crucial window with games against 3rd place, 4th place and 5th place coming up. So let's take a look at the roster then in detail. And we'll start with the goalkeepers. Matt Turner, of course, is injured. So Ethan Horvath is in there, Sean Johnson and Zach Steffen. The question is, Ian, who are you expecting to start here? We're not sure of Zach Steffen's fitness levels at this point.
You know, it's a great question. Who would start? Who would be my number one right now? I still think that Greg would probably lean towards playing Zach Steffen. If Zach is ready to rock and roll, Zach gets the nod. I think he has to be that goalkeeper you rely on in these big games. But let's not forget, it's not just the one game. It's 3 mega games that are coming up. So maybe you give him some time and focus on the second game at home, or you focus on that 3rd game where you maybe need that victory. Maybe you don't. Maybe you focus on trying to get points first and foremost in Mexico. So I'm really excited, obviously, for Sean Johnson personally, and Ethan Horvath. I watched him in the FA Cup recently. Outstanding performance, and I know you've obviously been watching him at your club. So he deserves this opportunity, and again, he's playing well. So nice to see him obviously playing well for Nottingham Forest and now back involved with the national team. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's move on to defenders then, because 9 in the mix. Good to see Serginho Dest, as you mentioned, in there, but it was worrying moments today with Barcelona, wasn't it? What do you make of this group as a whole?
Well, a group as a whole, I'll touch upon Serginho Dest first and foremost. Greg actually pointed out that it didn't look too good for Serginho Dest, so possible replacements could be Scally, Moore and Bello. But when you look at this group here, Long comes back into the group, obviously had a recent injury with an Achilles problem. He is now back, he's been playing very well. For the Red Bulls, also got a goal against Toronto FC back on March 5th. Palmer Brown back in the national team cap for the first time since March 2021 friendly games. I think it's very good. I mean, there is a good mix of experience. You have obviously European players. James Sands not necessarily playing week in and week out, but being called back up. I'm happy for him. But I'd have to say that Anthony Robinson, another player who's in form, obviously confident right now with what's happening domestically for him. It's spot on. I think Greg recognises, and he obviously wants to give opportunity to players who are in form and show that in training it matters. In these big games, when it comes to World Cup qualifying, especially against Mexico, where you know you've got to go down to a place where history says you haven't performed well in, you've got to turn it on, and he's going to have to go with the players that he has the most confidence in, that look best in practice and also look best playing well for the domestic team. And there has been some players who are in the roster who haven't been playing well for the domestic club. So I still think he's got it spot on defensively. I'm really excited about what they've got going on there, but obviously worried about Serginho.
All right, let's move on to midfielders then and take a look at this group. Of course, no Weston McKennie. This is a big loss, isn't it, Ian? Who needs to step up here?
No Weston McKennie is a massive blow because he was playing so well for Juventus, and I actually feel like Juventus missed him getting knocked out just recently. So I think, you know, Weston McKennie's absence in that locker room is a bigger loss as well. So players stepping up. I think Kellen Acosta's done so well. He's the man who's leading the way with the caps right now. He's got the greatest experience in that midfield. Tyler Adams is the leader of this group as far as I am concerned. But I have a slight concern with Tyler as well. Yeah. He's in the starting 11 at Leipzig only 35% of the time right now. They've got a new boss in Domenico Tedesco at Leipzig. So getting into that starting 11 has been a problem for him. But they do have Yunus Musa, and obviously Christian Roldan brings experience, and Gianluca Busio back in there as well. So there is some talented players in that midfield area, but up top is what really catches my attention. because 9 attackers have been nominated for this roster.
Well, let's talk about the strikers then. Gio Reyna returns to national team duties after being out with an injury since match day 1 of these qualifiers. Of course, Christian Pulisic leading the goal scorers in this group. He's had a great Champions League week, scored in both legs for Chelsea against Lille. But as you said, there's a lot in this forward group.
Yeah, obviously Christian Pulisic speaks for itself, but welcome back Jordan Peafock there. He's returning to national team duties in fine goal scoring form for young boys. He is topping their scoring charts of the Swiss Pro League. 17 goals from 25 league games, including 10 goals and 2 assists in his last 9 league appearances. So I think Peafock deserves to be involved, and actually I'd go as far as to say he is the most in-form striker. If you're looking for a number 9, who's going to play that number 9 position? Is it going to be Ricardo Pepi, not playing domestically? He can't even get into Augsburg's starting 11. Is it going to be a Jordan Morris that you rely on? Obviously the names there attacking wise, Brendan Ironson, he has been just so consistent for Greg. He's performed ever so well throughout World Cup qualifying, and he deserves to obviously lead the way again. But does he get the nod in the starting 11 for all 3 games? Will he go to Tim Weah or welcome back Gio Reyna from injury? Question mark on him. Gio Reyna obviously has been struggling with a hamstring. He came back maybe a fraction too early, Poppy, and recently had to pull out again before coming back at the weekend, and now he's involved in the national team. So up front, of course, Jesus Ferreira, another one who deserves to have that call-up, and Areola as well. There's exciting times trying to choose who's going to start up top for that national team in any of these games with that group.
Well, the US, they're second in the CONCACAF standings at the minute, equal on third with third place Mexico, both of which, though, are 4 points behind first place Canada. No doubt this is just such a crucial 3-game window. How are you expecting Greg to approach these matches, Ian, both tactically and personnel-wise?
Well, Greg has to focus what's going on for his team, not what's happening around him. Costa Rica and Canada playing that first match, obviously, on match day 12, which is a real interesting one, because Costa Rica against Canada, anything can happen in that game. I know Canada are undefeated right now, but they're obviously a team that could slip up at any time, and that leaves it very much compact for Greg and his team, and Panama chasing very closely behind. So I think you have to go game for game. It's so important. I'm really excited about that first game. I mean, these are, in my opinion, the biggest 3 games in US national team history when it comes to World Cup qualifying after what happened in the last World Cup qualifying cycle. This is a very important time for a generation of players. It's a very important time for this young group of players and for Greg Berhalter to get it right. So going to the Azteca is a magnificent game, and I think he's got it absolutely spot on with this group. I'm really excited, Poppy. It's a shame that so many big players are missing out, including our Weston McKennie that we love so dearly and wish him well, and Serginho Dest as well. We hope he's okay. But the group that Greg's got and the group that is healthy and ready to rock and roll should be good enough to get the job done and get themselves to a World Cup.
Well, it is a young group, isn't it? You mentioned you're feeling confident. How do you think the players are feeling right now? Because many of them are going through this for the first time.
Yeah, the players will be nervous, there's no doubt about it, and I think they're also excited. You're going to an Azteca to play against Mexico, and I must add that I don't believe this Mexico side have hit their full potential yet through World Cup qualifying. They have been largely disappointing as far as consistency goes, as far as how dangerous they can be in front of goal, and they can be beaten. If you catch Mexico on an off night, there's no doubt that Greg's team can beat Mexico down there. I really believe that. But if you get Mexico on a hot night and Greg's team turns up, we are in for one hell of a game. It should be exciting. But of course, I think everyone's attention will turn to what happens in Orlando, Florida against Panama. That's a big one. You've got to win your home games if you want to go to a World Cup.
All right, so a crucial window coming up. And first up for the US, they'll head to Mexico City to face El Tri on March 24th. That one available for you on Paramount Plus before returning home to face Panama March 27th, then facing Costa Rica for the final match of CONCACAF qualifying. And no doubt Greg Berhalter's side are hoping that they've got their ticket in hand as the road to Qatar 2022 continues.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.